Flying after 70 in 2026. New airport rules are blocking seniors at the gate. Breaking news for anyone over 70 who's planning to fly this year. The TSA just rolled out a series of new airport security rules and identification requirements that are quietly causing major problems for senior travelers at gates across the country. And I mean major problems. We're talking about missed flights, turned away at security checkpoints, unexpected fees, and hours of frustration that could have been avoided with just a little bit of advanced preparation. If you or someone you love is over 70 and planning to fly anywhere in 2026, whether it's a quick domestic trip to see grandkids or an international vacation you've been planning for months, you absolutely need to know what changed, why it changed, and what you must do before you even leave for the airport. This isn't optional anymore. This is mandatory, and the consequences for showing up unprepared are serious. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share could save you from missing your flight entirely. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications because we break down the rules, regulations, and policy changes that actually affect your life, your travel plans, and your wallet. We don't waste your time. We give you real information that helps you navigate changes before they become problems. Today, we're covering 7 critical airport rule changes for 2026 that are specifically impacting senior travelers over 70. And trust me, some of these will surprise you. Now, before we dive deep into what's changed and what you need to do, let me explain why this is happening right now and why airports and the TSA are suddenly making these changes all at once. Over the last 2 years, the Department of Homeland Security and the TSA have been implementing a massive modernization effort across every major airport in the United States. They've upgraded screening equipment, digitized identity verification systems, and tightened security protocols in ways most travelers don't even notice until something goes wrong. And for senior travelers, especially those who haven't flown in a year or two, or maybe even longer, these changes have created unexpected obstacles that can derail an entire trip before it even begins. The system assumes everyone has a smartphone, everyone has updated government IDs, and everyone knows about new documentation requirements. But that's not reality, and seniors are getting caught in the middle. Here's the truth. Airports didn't design these changes to target older travelers specifically, but the practical effect is that seniors face more challenges under the new rules than younger passengers do. And most people don't find out about these problems until they're standing at a TSA checkpoint being told they can't board their flight. That's exactly what we're going to prevent today. So, let's get into the first major change. And this one is the biggest, most widespread issue affecting travelers of all ages, but it hits seniors particularly hard. The Real ID requirement. Now, you've probably heard about Real ID in passing. Maybe you saw a notice at the DMV a few years ago, or maybe a news story mentioned it briefly, and you thought, I'll deal with that later. Well, later is now. As of May 7, 2026, every single person flying domestically within the United States must have a Real ID-compliant driver's license or state ID card, or an acceptable alternative like a passport or military ID. Your old driver's license, the one you've been using for years, will no longer be accepted at TSA checkpoints unless it has a star in the upper right corner indicating it's Real ID compliant. No star, no flight. It's that simple. And here's what's catching so many seniors off guard. A lot of people over 70 haven't renewed their driver's license recently. In some states, seniors can renew by mail every other cycle, or even longer. That means they might be carrying a perfectly valid, non-expired license that's 6, 8, or even 10 years old. And if that license doesn't have the Real ID star, TSA won't accept it for domestic flights after May 7th. Period. No exceptions, no sympathy. Even if your license is valid for driving, even if it doesn't expire for another 2 years, if it's not Real ID compliant, you're not getting through security. Now, Let me paint you a real-world picture so this really sinks in. Imagine a 72-year-old woman planning to fly from Phoenix to Atlanta to visit her daughter and new grandchild. She's had the same driver's license for 8 years. It's valid until 2027. She's used it to fly domestically multiple times without issue. She books her flight, packs her bags, gets to the airport 2 hours early like she always does, and walks up to the TSA checkpoint confident and ready. The TSA agent looks at her ID, sees no star, and tells her she cannot board her flight. She's confused. She's frustrated. She explains it's a valid license. The agent sympathizes, but explains the rules changed. No real ID, no flight. She misses her flight entirely. She has to rebook, pay, change fees, and either rush to get a passport expedited or go back to the DMV to get a real ID license before she can try again. All of that stress, all of that cost, all of that wasted time because she didn't know about a rule change that's been rolling out quietly for years. So, what do you do? How do you avoid this exact scenario? It's actually straightforward, but you need to act now, not the week before your flight. First, check your driver's license or state ID right now. Look at the top right corner. Do you see a gold or black star? If yes, you're good. You have a real ID compliant license and you're all set for domestic flights. If you don't see a star, you need to take action immediately. You have 3 options. Option 1. Go to your state's DMV and apply for a real ID compliant license. You'll need to bring specific documents with you. Proof of identity, usually a birth certificate or passport. Proof of social security number, like your social security card or a W-2 form, and 2 proofs of residency, like utility bills or bank statements. The DMV will take a new photo, issue you a temporary paper license, and mail your permanent Real ID compliant license within a few weeks. This process takes time, so don't wait until 2 days before your trip. Option 2. Get a U.S. passport or passport card. A passport is always accepted as valid identification for domestic and international flights. If you already have a passport, check the expiration date. If it's still valid, you're fine. If it expired, you'll need to renew it, which can take 6 to 10 weeks for routine processing, or 2 to 3 weeks if you pay for expedited service. A passport card is cheaper and good for domestic flights and land border crossings, but not international air travel. Either works for getting through TSA. And option 3, if you're a veteran or active military, you can use your military ID, which is also Real ID, compliant and accepted nationwide. The key takeaway here: do not show up at the airport without proper identification. The rules are not flexible anymore. The grace periods are over, and TSA agents have zero authority to make exceptions, even if your situation seems reasonable or sympathetic. Now, let's talk about the second major change. And this one is causing confusion and delays for seniors who rely on medical devices or need assistance. New medical documentation requirements for assistive devices and medications. If you travel with a CPAP machine, oxygen concentrator, insulin, syringes, or any assisted medical device, TSA now requires more detailed documentation than before. In the past, you could bring these items through security with minimal questions. Maybe a TSA agent would inspect your CPAP briefly, ask a quick question, and wave you through. Now, the process is more thorough and more time-consuming, especially for items that aren't immediately recognizable as medical devices. TSA agents are trained to ask for documentation, proving the item is medically necessary. For prescriptions, that means bringing your prescription label, a letter from your doctor, or medical records that confirm you're authorized to carry the medication. For devices like CPAP machines, nebulizers, or portable oxygen, you may be asked to show proof that the device is prescribed for your use. And here's where seniors are running into problems. Many people over 70 have been using the same CPAP machine or taking the same medications for years. They don't carry prescription paperwork with them anymore. They don't think to bring a doctor's note because they've flown with these items dozens of times without issue. But under the new protocols, TSA agents are being more cautious and more thorough. If they're unsure about an item, they can delay you for additional screening, ask you to step aside for further inspection, or in some cases, even refuse to allow the item through if you can't prove it's medically necessary. Now, to be clear, TSA is not trying to prevent people from traveling with medical necessities. They're trying to improve security and prevent prohibited items from slipping through disguised as medical equipment. But the practical result is that travelers who don't know about the new documentation expectations are getting delayed, frustrated, and sometimes forced to leave essential items behind. So, here's what you need to do. If you travel with any prescription medication, carry it in its original labeled container. If you use a pill organizer, that's fine for your personal use at your destination. But for travel, keep at least one pill in the original prescription bottle with your name and the prescribing doctor's information clearly visible. If you use syringes for insulin or other injectable medications, bring a letter from your doctor on official letterhead stating that you require the syringes for medical purposes. Keep that letter in a plastic sleeve or folder so it's easy to access quickly at security. If you travel with a CPAP, oxygen concentrator, or any other medical device, pack a copy of the prescription or a letter from your doctor confirming the device is medically necessary. You can also print out the TSA's official guidelines for traveling with medical devices from their website and bring that with you as a reference. And here's a tip that will save you time and stress. Before you even get to the airport, call the TSA Cares helpline at 855-787-227 at least 72 hours before your flight. This is a free service specifically designed to assist travelers with disabilities, medical conditions, or other circumstances that might require additional screening assistance. When you call, explain what medical items you'll be traveling with, and they'll coordinate with TSA at your departure airport to make the screening process smoother. They can even arrange for a passenger support specialist to meet you at the checkpoint and guide you through. This service is underutilized, and it can make a massive difference in your travel experience. Now, let's move on to the third change, and this one frustrates a lot of seniors who prefer not to use smartphones or who simply don't have one. Digital boarding pass requirements and the push away from paper. More and more airlines are actively discouraging or, in some cases, eliminating paper boarding passes entirely. They want you to use a mobile boarding pass on your smartphone or at the very least print your boarding pass at a kiosk when you get to the airport. For younger travelers who live on their phones, this is no big deal. But for seniors who don't own a smartphone or who prefer not to use apps for travel, this creates a genuine barrier. Some airlines now charge fees if you want an agent to print your boarding pass at the ticket counter. Others make it deliberately inconvenient by reducing the number of staffed counters and pushing everyone towards self-service kiosks. And if you show up without a boarding pass and without a smartphone, you can end up waiting in long lines just to get a piece of paper that used to be automatically provided. Here's the thing. You are not required to own a smartphone to fly. Airlines cannot legally force you to use a mobile boarding pass, but they can make it more expensive and more time-consuming if you don't. So, what are your options? First, if you do have a smartphone, even if you don't use it for much, download your airline's app before your trip. Check in online 24 hours before your flight and save your mobile boarding pass to your phone. It's stored in the app, even without internet access, so you don't need Wi-Fi or data at the airport. Just open the app and show the barcode to the gate agent. It's quick and easy. Second, if you don't have a smartphone or prefer not to use one, check in online using a computer at home and print your boarding pass on a regular printer. Most airlines allow you to print at home up to 24 hours before departure. Fold it, put it in your bag, and bring it with you. That paper boarding pass is just as valid as a digital one. Third, if you can't print at home and don't have a smartphone, get to the airport earlier than usual and use the self-service kiosks near check-in. Enter your confirmation number or scan your ID, and the kiosk will print your boarding pass. It's free at the kiosk. And fourth, if the kiosks are confusing or not working, you can still go to the airline's ticket counter and ask an agent for help. Some airlines charge a fee for this, typically $5 to $25, but not all of them do. Just be prepared for the possibility and budget for it if necessary. The bottom line, don't let the digital push intimidate you. You have options. You just need to know what they are and plan accordingly. Fourth major change, and this one is about accessibility and physical assistance at airports. Enhanced wheelchair and mobility assistance programs with new procedures. Airports across the country have upgraded their accessibility services, which sounds like a good thing, and in many ways it is. But the new procedures require advanced notice and coordination that many seniors don't know about. If you need wheelchair assistance, you can't just assume someone will be available when you arrive at the airport anymore. During peak travel times, wheelchair services can be completely booked unless you request them in advance when you book your ticket, or at least 48 hours before your flight. And if you show up without a reservation and need assistance, you might be waiting 30, 45, or even 60 minutes for help to arrive, which could cause you to miss your flight entirely. Here's what changed and why it matters. Airports outsourced many of their wheelchair and assistance services to third-party contractors. Those contractors operate on scheduled shifts with limited staff. If demand exceeds capacity, they can't magically produce more workers. So the system now prioritizes passengers who requested assistance in advance. Walk-up requests get served if and when staff becomes available for seniors who have mobility challenges, arthritis, joint pain, or difficulty walking long distances. This is critical information. You cannot rely on last-minute help anymore. When you book your flight, tell the airline you need wheelchair or mobility assistance. It's a free service. You're not being a burden. You're ensuring your safety and your ability to make your flight on time. The airline will coordinate with the airport, and when you arrive, assistance will be waiting for you or will arrive within a few minutes. You'll be escorted through security to your gate and onto the plane. And when you land, assistance will meet you at the gate and help you to baggage claim or ground transportation. And here's something most people don't know. If you have a connecting flight and you requested assistance for your first flight, make sure the airline knows you need assistance for your connection. 2. Sometimes that information doesn't carry over automatically, and you could end up stranded at a massive airport trying to find your connecting gate with no help. Confirm it when you book, and confirm it again when you check in. A few extra minutes of communication can prevent hours of stress. Fifth change, and this is a positive one that many seniors don't take advantage of. TSA, pre-check enrollment, is now specifically being promoted to travelers over 75, with additional benefits and enrollment assistance. TSA PreCheck allows you to go through expedited security screening. You don't have to remove your shoes, belt, or light jacket. You can leave your laptop and liquids in your bag, and the PreCheck line is almost always significantly shorter and faster than the regular security line. For seniors, this can be a game-changer. Less standing in line, less bending down to take off shoes, less stress trying to repack everything quickly while people wait behind you. And here's what's new. TSA is now offering enrollment events specifically for seniors at community centers, libraries, and senior centers across the country. They bring the enrollment process to you instead of requiring you to go to an enrollment center at the airport. The cost is $78 for 5 years, which breaks down to about $15 per year. For that, you get faster, easier security screening every single time you fly. If you fly even just twice a year, TSA PreCheck is worth it. If you fly more often, it's absolutely essential. And if you're 75 or older, TSA does not require you to remove your shoes at all, even in the regular security line. But with PreCheck, the entire process is still smoother, quieter, and less chaotic. To enroll, visit the TSA PreCheck website. Find an enrollment location near you. Bring your driver's license or passport and proof of citizenship, like a birth certificate, and complete a quick background check. You'll get your known traveler number within a few weeks, and then you just add it to your airline reservations every time you book. It's one of the smartest investments you can make if you travel regularly. Sixth change, and this is where a lot of confusion happens: stricter carry-on enforcement and new size restrictions at certain airlines. Some budget airlines have tightened their carry-on size limits and are enforcing them more aggressively at the gate. What used to slide through without issue might now be flagged as oversized, and you'll be forced to check your bag at the gate with fees ranging from $35 to $75. For seniors who pack medications, important documents, or valuables in a carry-on to keep them close and secure, being forced to check that bag creates real problems. Medications could be delayed if your checked bag is lost. Important documents could be separated from you when you need them. Valuables could be damaged or stolen. So, here's what you need to know. Check your airline-specific carry-on size limits before you pack. Different airlines have different rules. Measure your bag if you're not sure, and pack your essentials, medications, documents, and valuables in a small personal item that fits under the seat in front of you. That personal item is never subject to gate checking. It stays with you no matter what. A small backpack, a purse, or a soft-sided tote works perfectly. Keep everything you absolutely need in that personal item. And if your larger carry-on gets flagged and checked, you'll still have what matters most. Seventh and final change, and this is about timing and planning. Recommended arrival times at airports have increased, especially for travelers who might need extra time or assistance. TSA and airlines now recommend arriving 3 hours early for international flights and 2 hours early for domestic flights. For seniors, especially those who need mobility assistance, use medical devices, or are less familiar with new airport technology, I'd recommend adding an extra 30 minutes to those times. Arrive 2 and 1/2 hours early for domestic flights and 3 and 1/2 hours early for international. Yes, that's a long time to spend at the airport. Yes, you might end up sitting at your gate for an hour before boarding. But the alternative, rushing, stressing, getting flustered, potentially missing your flight, is far worse. Airports are more crowded than they were before the pandemic. Security lines are longer. Staffing is tighter. Things take more time. And when you're over 70, you don't want to be speed walking through a terminal with your heart racing, trying to make a boarding deadline. Give yourself time. Bring a book, download a podcast, get a coffee, and relax. Air travel is stressful enough without adding unnecessary time pressure. Now let's talk about what you need to do right now today to prepare for your next flight. First, check your ID immediately. Do you have a real ID-compliant license or a valid passport? If not, start the process of getting one now. Don't wait. Second, if you take medications or travel with medical devices, gather your documentation. Get letters from your doctor. Keep medications in labeled containers and print TSA guidelines for your specific devices. Third, request mobility assistance when you book your flight if you need it. Don't assume it will be available when you arrive. Fourth, consider enrolling in TSA PreCheck if you fly regularly. It's worth every penny. Fifth, download your airline's app or plan to print boarding passes in advance. Don't show up unprepared. Sixth, check your airline's carry-on size limits and pack smart. And seventh, plan to arrive early. Give yourself buffer time for the unexpected. Here's the bottom line, and I want to be absolutely clear about this. These changes are not designed to keep seniors from flying. They're designed to improve security, modernize systems, and streamline processes. But the reality is that seniors face more challenges adapting to these changes than younger travelers do. And that's not your fault. The system should be clearer. Airlines and TSA should communicate better. But until that happens, knowledge is your best tool. Knowing what to expect, knowing what's required, and knowing how to prepare puts you in control. You can travel confidently, safely, and without surprises. If you found this information helpful and you want to make sure you don't miss future updates about travel rules and changes that affect your life, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. We're here to help you navigate this stuff before it becomes a problem, not after. And drop a comment below. Let me know if you've experienced any of these issues at the airport or if you have questions about upcoming travel. I read every comment, and your input helps shape what we cover next. And one more thing, if you know other seniors who are planning to fly this year, share this video with them. Text them the link. Post it in your community group. Help them avoid the stress and frustration of showing up at the airport unprepared. Travel should be enjoyable, not stressful. And with the right preparation, it absolutely can be. You've earned the right to visit family, take vacations, and see the world without bureaucratic hassles getting in your way. So take these steps, prepare in advance, and fly with confidence.